People call it urban exploration now, but back in the 90s we called it building hacking or urban spelunking. There weren't YouTube channels for it, no fancy gear, no abandoned influencers, just dumb teenagers sneaking into places they absolutely should not have been. I did it for years, old hospitals, factories, schools, collapsed farmhouses in the woods. I loved it all. But there was one kind of exploring I never trusted: draining. Storm drains, flooded tunnels, sewers. Water underground scares me more than heights ever could. One bad storm and you're dead before you can even react. But my friend Marcus loved drain systems. He was obsessed with old city infrastructure and convinced me one summer to check out this massive tunnel network outside of town. I remember telling him no at least 3 times. Eventually, he wore me down. We entered through this huge concrete runoff tunnel hidden behind trees near a creek bed. It was dry that day, and honestly, at first it was incredible. The tunnels stretched forever underground. Some sections were old brickwork from the 1950s. Others had rusted maintenance ladders leading to sealed utility rooms filled with ancient electrical equipment. You could actually see different decades of construction the deeper we went. Old worker notes, graffiti from the 70s. It felt like walking through buried history. After maybe an hour underground, we stopped at this large circular junction room where several tunnels connected together. That's where everything went wrong. Marcus slipped climbing down a slick incline near one of the runoff channels. I heard the crack before he screamed. His leg bent sideways underneath him. Bad break. Really bad. At first I thought I could help him walk, but the second he tried putting weight on it, he nearly passed out. I think we were both in shock at first, not just from the broken leg, but also realizing where we were and how hard it was going to be to get him out of there like this. I had just finished wrapping his leg as best I could to keep it splinted and stable, while Marcus and I were debating if I should go back without him to get help or pull him part of the way back first. Then everything got so much worse. We heard thunder rumbling from above ground. I'll never forget that sound echoing through the tunnels. A few seconds later, water started trickling through the runoff channel nearby. Marcus looked at me immediately and said, "We need to move now." People don't understand how fast storm systems fill underground. Within minutes, the trickle became rushing water. The sound got unbelievably loud. We started moving as fast as we could, me practically dragging him with one arm over my shoulder while he tried not to scream every time his broken leg moved. The water kept rising around our boots, then our knees. Debris started rushing past us, branches, trash, mud. At one point I looked behind us and saw an actual wave of dark water surging through one of the side tunnels. That panic still lives in me now. You stop thinking logically, your brain just starts screaming, "Get out, get out, get out." By the time we reached the access ladder near the entrance tunnel, the water was moving so violently I could barely keep footing. I somehow got Marcus up the ladder first while pushing from underneath. To this day, I don't know where the strength came from. We made it out soaked, filthy, bleeding, and exhausted while rain poured down around us. Marcus spent weeks in the hospital afterwards. The break healed eventually. The infection is what kept him in there. Apparently, the drain water contaminated the wound badly enough that he got seriously sick afterward. That experience killed the hobby for me. I still explored a few abandoned places after that, but never drains, never underground water systems, and eventually I stopped altogether. I tell myself I grew out of it, but honestly, I think I started thinking about all the risks from that point on, and it just never had the same appeal or seemed worth it. Because once you hear floodwater racing towards you in a dark tunnel, you understand how small you really are, and how quickly things can go bad. Last October, 5 friends and I explored an abandoned hospital in the woods outside of our town. At least, people call it a hospital. Someone said it used to be a psychiatric facility, others claimed it was part of a factory later on. Nobody really seemed to know. The place had been abandoned since sometime in the 60s. Two of the people with us had gone there before and kept talking about this famous room on the 4th floor. Apparently over the years, people left little trinkets there. Photos, notes, jewelry, and other little keepsakes. There was even a local legend that couples would sneak in and leave something important there together. Honestly, it sounded kind of stupid to me, but they kept telling us the place was incredible and that we had to check it out. And we had nothing better going on, so we gave in and decided to let them take us there. We parked at a nearby Walmart so our cars wouldn't just be sitting along the road. Then we hiked on foot for about 3 miles to the old road that led to the abandoned place. It's not like we even had to sneak in or break in or anything. We just hopped over a gate at the road entrance that kept cars out, and when we got to the building, there were broken windows on the 1st floor that we could easily hop into. The building itself was pretty cool though once we were in there. Massive empty hallways, wheelchairs overturned in corners, peeling green paint everywhere, framed pictures still on the walls that looked like doctors or staff. It felt less like exploring a building and more like walking through a dead piece of time. The deeper we got inside, the quieter everyone became. Places like that absorb sound strangely. Even whispering feels wrong. Eventually, we made it to the 4th floor room, and honestly, it was cool, but underwhelming. The walls were covered in decades of graffiti layered over each other. Old candles, rusted lockets, Polaroids, tiny handwritten notes stuffed into cracks in the wall. One of the dates written near the window said 1987. We stayed there maybe 20 or 30 minutes just talking quietly and looking through everything. Nothing scary happened until we decided to leave. One of my friends had just opened the door when he heard a voice somewhere down the hallway. Not loud, but clear.
I'm not letting you leave without paying for coming back.
I can still hear it perfectly. It sounded wrong. Like the sentence didn't make sense, but the sound of their voice sounded wrong. Like an angry old man trying to whisper and scream at the same time. Everyone froze. Then the voice shouted again, closer this time. That's when everybody screamed and we all ran. Pure panic. We bolted into the hallway and toward the stairwell while hearing footsteps behind us. Fast footsteps, heavy, not limping, not stumbling, running. 3 of my friends split off into the 2nd floor trying to find another exit, while me and my friend Tyler accidentally kept running all the way into the basement. Worst mistake of my life. The basement was almost completely dark. We ducked into some old room, it looked like some kind of maintenance room, and killed the flashlight immediately. Then we just sat there listening. I could hear my own heartbeat. Every tiny sound felt amplified. Somewhere above us we kept hearing distant movement, doors slamming, metal clanging. At one point Tyler whispered, "What if he followed us down here?" I remember feeling physically sick hearing that. We stayed hidden for what honestly felt like hours, barely speaking, terrified even to move, till finally we got brave enough to sneak up to the 1st floor and out the window we came in. Tyler and I ran down the path back to the main road and realized we still didn't know if the others were still back in there or had made it out. I checked my phone. I tried texting one of the other friends still back there, but I had no idea if they had signal or not. Then suddenly one text finally pushed through from one of the other friends that we left upstairs. It just read, "He's still here." The message nearly broke me. Tyler and I started arguing quietly about whether we should call the police, whether we should try going back, whether this guy was homeless or dangerous or insane. 15 minutes later, we finally heard whispering nearby. I choked on a scream. Turns out it was our friends. They said they had escaped through a 2nd floor window onto some old overgrown piping attached to the back of the building and circled around trying to find us. None of them got a good look at whoever chased us. They only said they saw a tall shape moving down the hallway toward them before they bailed through the window. We got out of there fast. Nobody spoke much during the drive home. To this day, I still don't know who that man was. A homeless guy, a drug addict, security, some local trying to scare explorers, maybe. But I know one thing. Whatever chased us through the building knew exactly where we were, and it wanted us gone. I only went urban exploring once in my life, and that was enough. Back in 2007, when all of us were around 19 or 20, one of my friends got obsessed with abandoned places. This was before Urbex channels and TikTok explorers. Back then, if you wanted to find places, you just heard about it through older kids or message boards or rumors. My friend Kyle found out about this abandoned factory complex about 40 minutes outside of town. Nobody really knew what they made there. Half the buildings had been empty since the 90s. He wanted to check it out at night. I remember not wanting to go from the beginning. I had this awful feeling about it all day, but everyone else acted like I was being dramatic, and eventually I gave in because I didn't want to be the guy who ruined the fun. There were 6 of us total. We parked outside a chain link fence near the main gate around 3 a.m. The place looked enormous, even from the outside. Huge smokestacks, rows of dark windows, rusted catwalks connecting different sections of the buildings. Everything was dead silent. No sound of traffic, no animals, nothing. One of the guys found a hole in the fence that probably some other urban explorer had already made, and we slipped through one at a time. At first, it honestly was kind of cool. The buildings were frozen in time, old machinery still sitting there, filing cabinets tipped over, rotten safety posters still hanging on the walls. There was old calendars from 1993 still pinned up in some of the offices. Like that was the last year that anyone had taken care of the place. But after maybe 30 minutes to an hour, one of the guys said there was an underground maintenance tunnel that connected parts of the complex. That should have been the moment I left, but unfortunately, we pressed on. We found a concrete stairwell leading down beneath one of the warehouse sections. The air instantly got colder the deeper we went. It smelled damp and metallic. The tunnels down there were way bigger than I expected. Tall enough to stand in comfortably, with pipes running overhead and branching hallways disappearing into darkness. At first, everyone was just joking around, trying to scare each other as we walked, taking turn after turn, trying to see how far these tunnels ran. Then, almost as if we were thinking the same thing at once, we quickly realized none of us remembered which turns we'd taken. It sounds stupid now, but underground everything starts looking identical really fast. Same concrete walls, same pipes, same rust stains. We tried to retrace our steps, but somehow we kept ending up in different sections. I mean, this place was huge, but you don't realize how quickly you can get lost when you have no point of reference in a place you have never been before. Then, one of the flashlights died. Not flickered like in the movies, died completely, just blip, battery's dead. Really showed how unprepared and unserious we had taken all of this. We just pulled random flashlights out of my buddy's cabinet at his house and never bothered to think if they had new batteries in them. For all we knew, the batteries had been sitting there since 1993 also. Once that flashlight went out, the mood changed immediately. Now, we only had 2 decent lights left between 6 guys. I remember hearing somebody laugh nervously and say, "Okay, seriously, stop messing around." But nobody was messing around. We walked for what felt like another hour trying to find the stairwell again. Every now and then we'd find old spray paint arrows or markings, but that only confused us more because it felt like some of the arrows were pointing in circles. Then one of the other flashlights started to dim. That's when people began panicking. One of my friends actually started yelling, another accused somebody of intentionally leading us deeper underground as a joke. The worst part wasn't the dark, it was the moments of silence between us talking. Because every now and then it sounded like movement somewhere further down the tunnels. Not loud, just little metallic sounds, like pipes creaking or footsteps scraping concrete. At one point, we shut the lights off completely to save batteries. I'll never forget that darkness. People say things like pitch black all the time, but underground it's different. It feels physical, like something's wrapped around your face. Eventually, the remaining flashlight became so weak we could barely use it, so we started moving around by feeling the walls. I'm serious. 6 adults, at least by age, but clearly not by our actions, shuffling through underground factory tunnels in total darkness, with our hands sliding along damp concrete trying not to separate. I genuinely thought for a minute we might die down there. Then finally, after what felt like hours of wandering, somebody up ahead shouted that they felt air moving. We followed it and eventually found another stairwell leading up. When we pushed open the door, sunlight hit us. Morning sunlight. We had been underground all night. We stumbled back toward the front gate, completely exhausted and covered in grime, only to find 2 police cars parked near our vehicles. Apparently, somebody had reported suspicious cars sitting outside the abandoned property for hours. Thankfully for us, the cops were surprisingly cool about it. One of them actually laughed when he saw the state that we were in and said, "Bet you boys learned something tonight." He was right. I did. I learned that sometimes your gut feeling exists for a reason, and I learned I never wanted to feel that kind of darkness again.